Hi guys, welcome back. Today we're taking a look at the Hong Kong market as well as some of its Chinese stocks. Before we begin, remember to take a second to give the video a like and subscribe as you greatly help out the channel. Without further ado, let's first start off with the Hang Seng Index. So the Hang Seng Index closed near the week high, which is a good sign. It shows that buyers are willing to hold the stock prices over the long weekend. So we managed to see the rate baseline being supported throughout the whole week, and even we attempting to cross above this blue conversion line as well. And on this particular day today, we managed to cross back above this 21,508 and even closing the week at 21,719. So it looks like we are attempting to go back above to retest the high of 22142 and even potentially going above to test this 22447. If you're able to break out of this tough resistance at 22.5k, then perhaps we may be looking towards this 23,000 and even potentially going up above 23,592 as the next potential resistance to watch. But if we were to start pulling back down next week, then this blue conversion line and this rate baseline is currently at 21.2k and also 21k. 21k psychological support level is a very crucial support level that we have to hold, and it also coincides with this 61.8%. If you were to pull back further, then we're looking towards this 50% Fibonacci at 2660. Let's move on to the Hang Seng Tech Index. So the Hang Seng Tech Index, as you can see, is slightly stronger. It's holding 61.8% pretty well. In fact, this rate baseline was not even tested at all. So it shows that buyers are actually well supporting this blue conversion line. So it seems like we are already going towards this 61.8% and retesting the high of 4862. Next week, it is key that we break out above this 4903.9 and potentially we may be aiming towards this 5k psychological resistance before attempting to test this 78.6% at 5242 and even potentially going back up at 5726 levels. If we pull back down, then this blue conversion line at 4666 will act as a good support, and the next support to be watching will be at 4432, somewhere along this 61.8% at 4465 levels here. Let's move on to some of its constituents. So Tencent seems to be trading sideways for a while. There's not much movement for this week. As you can see, it's moving sideways on this particular Friday. We found some support at its blue conversion line after having its support being teased at around the rate baseline here at these levels here. So the key resistance to watch will be 389.6. If we are able to cross this 390 strong resistance, then it's likely for us to retest the high of 406 and potentially going back to 415 or even 447.2 for Tencent. That's it. If we start pulling back down, then the blue conversion line is at 373, while the next support level is this rate baseline here at 368. Not forgetting, there's also a lot of cloud support here. So on the way down, the cloud has a very good support here. And just this particular day, you can see that the cloud was acting as a very strong support for Tencent. Let's move on to Alibaba. So Alibaba, it seems like it's pretty strong. You see that it's almost retesting this particular high here at 116.3, and we close the week at just below 114. We already surpassed this 70.6%, so that is a good sign. If you're able to clear this 116.3 with good volume, then we're likely to be looking at 121.3 and even looking towards this 135 if we manage to cross this 120 and also this 130 psychological resistance for next week. That's it. If we start pulling back down, then the first support to watch will be this blue conversion line at 106.3, and the next one will be the $100 psychological support somewhere at $98, just below this $100 psychological support, where potential retail investors may be putting their stop losses here as well. Let's move on to Meituan. So Meituan seems to be trading sideways for a while. Not much of action this week. You can see that it was being well supported by the blue conversion line. So if we were to go back and we attempt to break above the $200 psychological resistance level, then 211 might be in sight. And thereafter, we will try to break out above this 78.6% at 212. If we are successful, then 242 may be within reach to retest this particular high here. That said, if we start pulling back down, then this rate conversion line, or rate baseline rather, at 182 is a very critical support for Meituan at this $180 psychological support level. If we will start to break down, then we're looking towards 170 and even 160, where there may be more cloud support at 150 and 160 levels. Let's move on to NetEase. So NetEase 9999. Ticker, it seems like it has really dropped quite a bit. After last week, we see some selling pressure and because of some bad news. But fortunately, we managed to hold in the cloud support level. So on the way down, the cloud has a very good support, similar to this situation here. And despite this red candle of selling, we still seems to be trending back above the cloud zone. So the key resistance to watch would be 150, 154, and 158. If we manage to cross above 160, that would be a good sign. And potentially we can go back above to the 173 area. That's it. This blue conversion line and rate baseline at 151 and also 154 will be a very strong resistance for NetEase to break up above. If we start pulling back down, then ideally this 127 levels should hold around this $130 psychological support level. Let's move on to NIO. So NIO is very bullish. In fact, just last week, you can really see that it was already buying up. There was a lot of buying pressure last week, and there was more momentum this week. So it's likely for us to retest back this 196 next week if everything goes well. And if we were to pull back down quite a bit, you can see that this blue conversion line and this red baseline is quite far away at around 159 levels, and also the other one will be at 153 levels. So if we were to pull back down, this will act as a pretty good support for NIO. Let's move on to JD.com. So JD.com, similar to Meituan, there's not much movement. As you can see, this blue conversion line is currently acting as a very strong support at around $240 level. So it's likely for us to retest back the high of 262 next week, and even potentially breaking above 265 and even going towards this 286.0. That said, if we start pulling back down, then 247 is our first critical support, and thereafter we're likely to be looking towards 227, which is about $20 away, where there is also more cloud support on the way down here. So hopefully we can continue to trend up next week and break above this critical resistance here at 265. Let's move on to Baidu. So Baidu, very similar situation. We're trying to creep up to go back to this recent high of 153. If we're successful in breaking up these 153 levels, then we're likely to be heading towards 165, assuming that the $160 psychological resistance level is cleared. So these two support levels that we will have to be watching will be this blue conversion line at 139 or $140 psychological support, and also this blue and also this red baseline at 133. So 133 is essentially a very strong support for Baidu. If we start breaking down these levels, then things may start to turn ugly. But there's also a very huge cloud support here on the way down. So that is a good sign, and we may potentially close this gap as well. Let's move on to AIA. So AIA 1299, as you can see, is moving up slightly. And in fact, this is a low here, this is a higher low, so that is a good sign. And hopefully we can continue to trend up above to create a new high here relative to this high. So it is important for us to start creating new high and start breaking out above this high here. So the resistance and important resistance to watch will be this $81 psychological resistance. If we are successful in breaking above 81, then 82 and 83.55 would be the next resistance. If we are successful in breaking all those resistance and successfully clearing this strong resistance 84, 86.55 and 78.6% may be retested. That's it. This blue conversion line and red baseline is currently very close to each other, and it's around $79. So $79, and its current price now is acting as a pretty strong support for 1299 or AIA. The cloud here is pretty thin, so if we were to start breaking down these cloud levels at this particular day here, if we were to start breaking down these cloud levels, then things may start to turn ugly and even potentially going back around $74 to close this particular gap here for AIA. Let's move on to PingAn. So PingAn was in fact pretty impressive. While we found some struggles in the cloud, we actually managed to break out, and we are starting to break out above the cloud levels. So we will continue to see if we are able to successfully maintain above this cloud level, and hopefully on the way down, the cloud will act as a pretty good support before we can continue to trend back up higher. So the key resistance to watch will be this 53.15, and if we are able to continue to hold above it next week, then we're likely to be looking toward 55.15 and even 57.70. If we were to start pulling back down, then of course the $50 psychological support would be a strong one, but there will be a stronger one just below it, around 49.80, because it coincides with this blue conversion line and this red baseline here. If the stock is particularly strong, then 50.75 should hold it as well, or even 52.10. Lastly, let's finish off with Xiaomi Corporation. So Xiaomi Corporation, it seems like after finding some struggles in the cloud, we are actually slowly creeping up through the cloud levels. So this blue conversion line and this red baseline is currently at 11.77 and also 11.95 as of now. So the key resistance to clear next week will be 12.34 and even potentially testing 12.90. If you're able to break above 12.90, then we're looking towards 13.50, which is a very difficult resistance for Xiaomi Corporation to break. And if we can break out, then 14.36 may be in sight. So hopefully we can continue this momentum here. You can clearly see that this is a form of a higher low here, so that is a good sign. And ideally next week we should continue trending up higher. So as of now, most of the stocks looks good, while those lagging behind are still looking all right. And as a whole, the Hang Seng Index and Hang Seng Tech Index look pretty good for now. You can clearly see this wave pattern here of a higher low. And hopefully next week we can continue to break out above this 22142 and potentially even retesting this 22447. If we are able to continue breaking new recent highs, that would be a good sign for the Hang Seng Index as well as of some of its stocks. So if there's any changes, I'll give you guys an update. Thanks for stopping by. Till we meet again, appreciate the manipulation.